How can creators like us, who are new to building online businesses, who have high value skill sets, how do we scale our monthly recurring revenue, or MRR, to get us the freedom we desire? That is the question, and this newsletter will give you the answers. Be sure to subscribe if these are the types of answers you seek. My name is Boise Gordon, and welcome to Boise Talks Business. Episode 10. I've been building online for 126 days. Here is how I'd shortcut my success. A reflection on my journey and how I'd apply everything I know so far. Feel free to steal this guide. Welcome to episode 10. We have now reached double digits. And in celebration of that, I've submitted my podcast to be distributed on Spotify and Apple Podcast directories. So you no longer have to tune into Substack. If you prefer those methods of listening, feel free to check them out. It should all be there. This is the first episode that will air to those audiences, but I do believe it transposed all of the past work. And YouTube is coming tomorrow. Google has a 24-hour verification to set up a new podcast, so I couldn't get it done today, but I did start the process. It's just a simple click of the button once they approve or tell me that I am a real person. Welcome new listeners and readers. A quick shout out before we get into it. I wrote here before my life turns to dust. I'm sure it'll read great, but that's not how I talk, I guess. Today is my fiance's birthday. She listens and reads every single one of these on her way from work. I love you so much. These past 8 years have been the best parts of my life, and I hope to continue the journey with you. Thank you for being my number one fan. Also, my first ever fan's birthday is tomorrow. Well, technically it is today. She is in Japan. So shout out to the homie in Japan. Kidding. I love you, Mom. Thank you so much for all of your support. You are the reason I am who I am. If that's good or bad, I have no clue. It depends on who you ask. Without your sacrifice, I don't know where I would be. I love you both. For those who don't know, I write the articles like a newsletter on Substack, and then I just narrate them. If I leave anything out in the article, or maybe I don't feel like typing it out, I'll just talk about it over the mic. So the actual podcasts end up being a little longer than the actual reading. So if you're looking for a more expedited way to do that, feel free to check out the Substack. You have to type in www.boisetalks.com, and it should pull up every episode that has been created so far. Like I said, we're on episode 10. Okay, so birthdays are mentioned, catastrophe avoided. Let's move on. Last episode, I shared a little bit about my philosophy on social conformity when it comes to success, kind of separating yourself from the herd, and the concept of a critical path. In today's episode, I want to expand a bit more on the concept of critical path by sharing how I would start my business consultancy if I had a do-over. A do-over, you ask? Yes, a do-over. I'll start with this. A critical path is a project management term. It is the shortest path between a project start and its completion. Last episode, I said I would review my current critical path to my current goal of $15,000 plus in MRR by the end of August of this year, by the way, 2024. But in order to do that, I need to review my past journey and lessons. So essentially what I want to do is go back, kind of review some of those things that I learned, tweak some of the changes that I would make, and then, attempt to make the fastest possible path to my end game or goal with that information. So here we are building in public. I want to share with you my revision of my strategy for my business consultancy and how I'd build it online. This will be based primarily on what I know now versus what I knew back then. What do I know now? Well, I started this journey in November of 2023, November 15th to be exact. That was the first time I had published anything online related to my business. But I didn't actually dig in and commit to the journey until Christmas of last year. I don't know what happened. I think something got into me. Maybe that was like my gift to myself. Like, hey, man, here you go. I don't know what that was about. But from that point on, I finally started to commit to the grind. I was doing all the little things every single day. I was writing articles, making newsletters, building community, engaging with posts, everything. Even now, I am still committed to that same grind, and it has taught me a few valuable lessons. So I wrote them pretty short in the article, but I will explain them a little more here. So here are the 5. Everything is content, everything you do. So whenever you fail, whenever you succeed, whenever you're learning something, if you're reading something, if you write something and it's funny, whatever, it doesn't really matter. If you go out to lunch, you see a kid whining, like you can relate almost anything to your niche. It's fun to experiment with the juxtaposition of two varying topics, or like something that happens in your life to something that, so like on Medium, and I'll probably link it as well. I wrote a story about me and my fiance swimming in the ocean in Cancun, and that became a self-development lesson, and it was a pretty good article. I enjoyed writing it, and people definitely received the article pretty well. So everything is content. You can create content from anything, and as you know about building businesses online, having content to back your business is almost necessary. In fact, it is necessary. I don't know why I said almost. Number 2, your offer is the key to it all. So just to give you a little bit of backstory, I've been building my business for 126 days. That's from today all the way back to November 15th. I didn't start taking it seriously until Christmas, which is December 25th. And I didn't actually reconsider my offer until maybe like middle of February. Yeah, so like a month ago. The minute that I've got a little more clear, I wasn't even clear about my offer, but the minute that I got a little more clear about my offer, I closed an account in 3 days. Like I closed a customer in 3 days. That's how impactful your offer can be. So, now that I know that, I can get really clear on my offer, what I want to give people, and then I can start being super, super clear about it. Number 3, you get what you work towards. So back then I was working towards the wrong things. I was working towards followers. I was working towards vanity metrics, as you'd say. On Medium, you can get paid for the work that you put on there. I was working towards the money, and I wasn't really working towards building an audience. I wasn't working towards the things that were going to actually benefit my business. And I got caught into this trap of trying to become a writer. I don't want to be a writer. Don't get me wrong. I'm a great writer. Well, no, I'm a great writer. But, I'm not trying to be a writer. I'm trying to consult businesses. I'm trying to help people. So my writing is a vehicle. It is not the end game. But the offer that I put out was writing. It was about helping people write, helping people create content. That is just a subset of my capabilities. My entire offer is, blanketed into helping people build their businesses using writing as a mechanism. So that's a little more clarity for me, which means I can offer myself to the right people in the right ways. Number 4, it only takes 30 days to get results to compound, or for results to compound. So if you're working hard for 30 days and you don't see anything for 30 days, you're not doing the right things. So the minute that I recognized that, I started to put a little clock on every change that I made. I didn't always stick all the changes out within 30 days. Sometimes I got the feedback earlier, but if I wasn't seeing what I wanted to from the things that I was trying, I had to change. So I've already changed my processes about 4 or 5 times. And I'll continue to do that until I die, pretty much. And number 5, consistency beats effort, but consistent effort beats all. So, being there every day is enough to compound. You'll start to see results. It might not be 30 days, like I was saying in Rule 4, but you will see. Excuse me, sorry, I had some coffee earlier. But you will see results. Now, consistent effort beats all. So if you're going hard every day you're going hard, that's going to do wonders for your compounding later, and you'll see results even earlier than that. So, and it's not just all out effort. Obviously you got to be strategic with it, and you kind of have to have clarity to know what to put effort into. Without the clarity, you're kind of just shooting in all directions, and eventually you might hit the target, but you won't really know what the target is, right? And so that's kind of where sometimes things can be a little fuzzy. But nonetheless, like, you'll grow if you're consistent, but you'll grow even faster if you're consistently putting in effort. So with these 5 things in mind, I will craft my revised plan. I actually wrote this plan out in live time. So like this article that's on Substack is the first thoughts that I had about this. I didn't really go back. I don't really like to edit my articles too much. Like, I'll edit the grammar, but as far as going back and changing words and sentences, like, I don't do that. This is all like first draft. I'll edit the grammar. I have Grammarly, so I edit as I go anyway. But anyway, let's get into it. So the new critical path, no need for filler. Let's get into it. The tech stack. That's like usually the first thing I want to start with, just the tools that I'll be using, the resources. This is an online business, so I will require everything to be accessible via cloud of some sort. So all of the tools here are web tools. I don't have any softwares or anything like that. So that if I am in a situation where I can't use my laptop or bring my laptop, I can go to an internet cafe. I can do it on my phone. That's the type of business I want to build, a Wi-Fi business. So I don't want to have anything that's going to hold me down. My original tech stack was random and incomplete, had a bunch of holes, and I was trying to patch those holes with one-stop solutions, or one-off solutions, and that led to too many things in my tech stack. This one, at least, is lean and simple. So marketing is like the first section I want to talk about. So this is going to be like the head of my funnel. First thing about marketing is you want to definitely attract as much attention as possible. I started out on Medium, and while it is good at what it does, and it does get you money right away, I think I made like $500 total on Medium overall since I started. It's not designed for sustainable income anyway. And if you are putting your work behind a paywall, which is the only way to make money from the website, you are limiting the exposure of your content. And a lot of the publications, which have a larger audience than you're following, require that you paywall your content. So like I recently made the decision to move away from Medium. It was nice, but one, it was time consuming, especially to engage. You had to read a bunch of articles, which takes 5 minutes a piece, and I could probably only get the maybe 10 a day, 20 if I'm like really like crushing it. But it was so draining and so taxing on my mind, I couldn't really stomach that. It was really hard to build community there. And then if you were trying to growth hack, they recently just banned everybody who was making a decent amount of money from the growth hacking methods of, staying for the 30 or 45 seconds to get people paid, writing a little comment and leaving. They were really punishing heavy for that. A lot of people lost their account, or, their payment was delayed for a month. So I don't really see that as a sustainable way for me to build my business consultancy. If I was a writer, probably be a better tool. Anyway, so X is my choice for marketing. The reason I chose this is, one, it is shorter content, easier for me to create. I can batch up a lot of my newsletter content into tweets, schedule them ahead of time. I haven't gotten to that process yet, but I am going to start to do that this week. And there's a lot of people who would be qualified for my service on there, considering that I'm targeting online creators. There's a lot of online creators. And even with my little following of 100, I think I have like 132 now. I'm still getting like well over 15,000 eyes a week on my work, most of it coming from comments, but that converts into views on my actual stuff as well. And all it takes is one good post, one viral post, and you're automatically just shot into the stratosphere, which isn't the same thing as Medium, because their algorithm is more designed for, more consolidated viewership. They want the perfect person to write the perfect article so that one person reads that article and becomes a member. Long story short, like X is just better for visibility, and it's easier to convert traffic just from looking at everybody else who's doing it successfully. The newsletter platform that I'm using, obviously Substack, I've talked about already. I like how simple it is to get it started up. I wrote an article. My very first article I wrote and podcast that I recorded was for how fast I was able to get my Substack newsletter created. I think it took like 4 hours total to get the logo, the branding, like the messaging, like everything was created in 4 hours. So I did put a guide out on that. I don't think it's going to transfer to all of the streaming platforms, because when I started it, I actually did it as a narration rather than a podcast. I didn't set up the podcast until like episode 2, I think. So if you want to check that out, like I said, just go to www.boisetalks.com, and then the first episode, it should have a little guide at the bottom. You can just scroll down and skip the rest. Cool. And then Senja.io is the social proof thing that I use. It's free, and you can embed it into your landing pages. And they have a couple of different options, but essentially you send your customer or whoever a testimonial via email. It could be a link, it can be a text, and they can go in, write a little testimonial, put their profile picture, and it makes it look all pretty. And it takes away a lot of the legwork of you trying to make it look good, because they already have templates and stuff. And when people add their testimonials to my Senja, it automatically imports it onto my website, and I don't have to manually do anything. And then for operations, that's the next section. It's just about like how I facilitate the actual back end operations of my business. So carrd.com, CARRD.com, is a web hosting landing page, web hosting and landing page. So I pretty much bought my domain from Google Domains and then create a website on Carrd. It takes like 10 seconds. They have a bunch of templates. I personally don't like a lot of what most people do, which is that basic card thing. It literally looks like a card on a screen that's floating. It doesn't really look good to me. So I created an actual like realistic looking website with it. And it's just a landing page that leads people to either my newsletter or a free consultation call. If you want to check that out, it's mybluepath.com, just for an example. But that's just what I chose there. Microsoft 365, that is going to be email and document creation. I'm probably going to get more into Google Docs to have that cloud available. I'm pretty sure Microsoft has a cloud, but it's not as connected with the other parts of my tech stack. So I might swap, but for now I use Microsoft Word to create my brochures and stuff. And then I use Outlook for my emails. Google Suite, so that's client communication and deliverables. So I plan on having all my documents available for a Google Drive download, so that when people click onto my stuff, they can just download it from there. There's a neat little tool that'll like change the link to make it an insta download for your customers or clients. And then Google Voice is my phone. So I don't want to have two phones, and I also want to separate, my regular phone usage from work phone usage. So when I'm, trying to focus, I'll allow Google Voice to send me notifications, and then I'll disallow my phone to send me notifications. So if a customer client calls me or someone interested in my service calls me, they can just reach me at any time. Then Google Business Profile, obviously that's just to have my actual like card of information when people Google search my company. And that makes it a little easier to, kind of get set up there. And then Google Meet for like video calls and stuff. And that's about it for like the operations tech stack. And then financial is pretty simple. Stripe for payment processing, which integrates with Substack and Carrd actually. So like you can have payments processed directly from there, or you can generate invoices directly and then just email them to people or give people the link. And then bank account. So you don't really have to explain that. You need a place to store your money. Business bank accounts are always going to work better, just so that you can separate your work income from your or your business income from your personal income. It helps a hell of a lot when you have taxes coming around. If you haven't formally gotten an LLC, you can do that through Stripe as well. I paid $500 and it gave me my LLC in Connecticut, and it did all the formation paperwork. And so I got my EIN and stuff from there. It took about like 3 days, I think. It wasn't a super complicated process, just like a driver's license, and I think I used my passport for a second form of ID. Anyway, moving on. So that is my tech stack. It is pretty simple, not as complicated as it used to be. Once again, I used to have Medium on there, and then I used to have, what else? Adobe was a part of it as well, and then I had like a Gmail that I was using alongside my like... It was a super complicated tech stack. And so I recently just decided to delete all the fat that I didn't need and stick to the bare minimums. And then, I can add on as I get more help or need to scale. New process and timeline. Now we can move on to like the actual like bulk of this. One sec though, let me take a little drink. Okay, that's way better. Cool. And for those that don't know, I just do like, I try to do like one take on these. I don't like feeling like I have to be perfect, and I don't want you guys to feel like, I am perfect. So if I mess up, I mess up. That's just the truth. Like I'm not going to pretend like this is some like super high quality edited stuff. This is all off the cuff. So if it's not written down in the article, I'm just talking from experience or out of my brain. Cool. So this is my new and improved process. Steal it if you like. In fact, I encourage you to, relook at or take another look at your current process and see if there's some similarities, and see if there's room for improvement on your process to one, make it a faster path to success for you, but also make it simpler. Because I've learned, if I haven't learned anything over these 120 something days, it's that simple works best, and it will make your life so much easier, so much easier. So I implore you to do it that way. So phase one is like the first phase: create a business foundation. The prerequisite: death of the ego. Timeline: 1 to 2 weeks. So I'll just read this off here. In the beginning, my journey was filled with lack of clarity. I had absolutely no clue what I was doing, and it showed in my sporadic efforts. I was constantly going back and forth on ideas. I was changing up my profiles. I was changing up my writing style. I was changing everything. Like, everything about my business was getting changed. I think I changed my actual business twice. I went from business consultancy to personal branding for introverts to personal branding for online creators. And now I'm back at business consulting. I'm just doing business consulting for online creators, personal branding being a vehicle, just like the writing and all that other stuff. I felt as though I needed to do it alone to prove that I could consult businesses or build personal brands. Like, I felt like I had to be the first social proof, which is true. You do have to be someone who is doing the thing that you want to do for other people. But I had a big old ego to think for my first 2 months of minimal progress. Finally, in January, I put my pride aside. I began watching videos. I began reading books daily. I began mimicking the successful people that I knew or that I had seen around. And this was great, but I was still missing something. Still, like, even after taking hours and hours, I think I read like 16 books since the start of my journey. It was probably more than that, but I think I've read like 16 books. Yeah, just think about that. 16 books, and it still wasn't enough. My ego was still in the way. I was trying to figure it out on my own. Even though I was using other people's devices to do it, I was still trying to curate the solution to my problem. I was missing real guidance. Sure, books and videos helped me, but the material wasn't tailored to what I actually needed. I was learning the things I thought I needed, but in reality, I had no clue what I needed. So the content I was absorbing couldn't be applied strategically. This meant wasted effort and inconsistent results. And I was getting mad because I would read a book, apply it, it wouldn't work. Read a book, apply it, it wouldn't work. Like, it got a little better, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to discredit the books or the value that I got, but I still was lost. I still had no clue. And what did I do? I hired a content marketing coach. Yeah, 100%. It's not that I wrote bad. It's that I was unfocused. So I decided to find someone who had success doing the type of thing that I wanted to do, the way that I wanted to do it. Someone who had experience in all the areas I was lacking the most. The first thing we did was get clear on my vision. Literally the first thing we did was decide what I wanted to do, how I was going to do it. And once we did that, all the puzzle pieces that I gathered on my own began coming together. The funnel creation, the content marketing, the copywriting, the offer refinement, everything in the 16 books I read could finally be used strategically. No longer was I wasting my time. Or at least I didn't feel like my time was wasted, because now I could go back and reflect. But now I still have to skim through these books sometimes. Thank the heavens I started highlighting midway through the journey so that I could just look at the most important bits. But had I not done that, I'd have probably had to reread a majority of the books. Knowing all of this, if I had to start again, I'd start by working with someone to help me set my foundation properly. Then I could read only the books I needed and make the process more efficient. If you don't listen to anything I say, listen to this part. Get clear on the vision first. Do that and you'll be fine. If you need help, get help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. The best people have help, and I'll talk about that later, but that's just my spiel for now. So moving on to phase 2, learn how to copyright. Prerequisite: there isn't a prerequisite, but I do suggest that you get clear on your vision. Not before you start, but if you can get clear on your vision as soon as possible, it'll help you while you're learning to write or learning to copyright. So the timeline to learn how to copyright, I would say like 1 month to continuous. Some of these have continuous timelines because they're things you need to keep doing over and over and over again as long as you're running your business. And copywriting is going to be important when you're writing online. It has to be, right? I didn't have too much of an issue with this, or at least learning how to copyright, because the first platform, like I said, Medium, it was a publishing site. So you're writing articles to make money. To succeed there, you have to be able to capture attention of your audience for 30 seconds or more. And everybody on there is trying to make money on there. So with a heavy competition, I was forced to become better at copywriting. If I didn't copyright or do it correctly or do it well, nobody read my stuff, right? Obviously, there's more to it. It's a social media site, so there's other factors that are in play. But for the most part, like, if people don't like your stuff, they just won't read it, even if they're trying to support you. Or they'll read it and give like a thoughtless comment. Like, they'll just say, nice article, and then move on. Right. So you can tell when someone actually appreciates your work because they actually want to talk to you about it. This is the book that helped me the most, and I'll share a link in the newsletter portion, but it's called Several Short Sentences About Writing. I'll actually try to share it in the podcast description as well for anybody that wants to check it out. It will be an affiliate link, so you can support me by buying it there. But that book, is all about writing philosophy. I don't remember the guy's name. It's a European name, but a lot of vowels. Anyway, or I should say consonants. I feel like his name has more consonants than vowels. Anyway, it was a very good book. He uses a lot of his philosophy as he's writing. He never explains it to you, so you kind of have to listen as you read the book. Like, you have to he'll say why did I feel like long sentences were the way? Short sentences are actually smarter. They state a clear, and he's writing short sentences while he's trying to convince you that you should probably write short sentences. And that's just like a little snippet of the ideology of the book. He actually goes into way more depth about writing. Short sentences is just kind of his style of writing. It's very poetic, very easy read, and I enjoyed it. I wouldn't do the audiobook. If you are going to do it, I would definitely suggest the written book so you can see it, physically see how it's written and formatted, because that will help even with Twitter, especially Twitter. All you're doing is writing short sentences. So if you can make your sentences more impactful, I think I have to reread that book again as I'm learning to write on Twitter more and more, because it'll definitely help me with my brevity and making my words more articulate. It changed my writing trajectory. I went on a writing retreat to San Antonio, Texas, to visit a couple friends. And, before that, I was burnt out. I hadn't published anything on Medium in 10 days. And I was writing every day. I was writing 1,000 words every day, but nothing felt good, and my brain hurt. And when I read that book, it unlocked a part of my brain. And the first article I wrote was some super crazy. It was the best thing I'd ever written. So if you're struggling with writing or you want to learn how to write better, I would definitely suggest maybe reading that book or giving it a try. Why is it important? Why is copywriting important? Right? To build a business online through any channel, you will have to become a dictator of attention. If you like the skill, especially this skill of copywriting, it is unlikely that you will generate enough traffic to your offer unless you want to work for free. I don't suggest working for free. We want to get paid. We want to get money. Working for free means that you're not getting money, but you're doing all of the work. You could just work a job. And you'll hear all of these super successful creators be like, oh yeah, if you don't want to work for free, you shouldn't run a business. It's dude, you're a millionaire. You know what I mean? You're already there. I don't hear people who are not there saying you should work for free. If anything, I hear the opposite. Everybody who's right above where I'm at, literally making money but not super mega rich, they don't suggest working for free. You know what I mean? Because it sets, especially if you're advertising a free offer, it devalues your service, and your reputation takes a little bit of a hit because your service is so cheap or is free. So I don't suggest it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna say it doesn't work. You'll get people maybe, but you're still going to have to sell it just as much as you would a paid offer. You might as well get paid, because people are going to be skeptical. Why is this free? What do I have to do? What comes with it? Do you suck? I don't want to waste my time. You know what I mean? And people might not be invested because it's free. For instance, if you had a free workout program, are you going to show up every day when it sucks and it's hard? You didn't have to sacrifice anything. to get it. Like, they're just doing it for free. So you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot by working for free. That's just my spiel. You can do whatever you want, but I don't believe that working for free is the answer to the solving the problem of getting customers. The good news is that you can start learning copywriting from day one, and this will kind of be the key to unlocking, your potential. The best way to learn is to just start writing. The best way to do it is to just practice, fail, practice, read, like literally learn to read like statistics of your audience, like audience statistics or engagement statistics of whatever platform you're using, and then adjust your writing based on what you see. So if you see a headline works and maybe like people open and click, but then there's no action taken after that, well, your headline's not the problem. It's your content that's the problem. Adjust your content. Like, just keep getting your feedback. But just so you have a few more bits of advice, here are some philosophies on writing to keep in mind. These are my philosophies. I am not some author. I am not Hemingway. So take it with a grain of salt. But, this is what I got so far. So be open to change. Like I said, just get the feedback, listen to, what everything else is telling you, but you still want to be you, right? So you're going to change. You might start writing about a topic and completely disagree with it. And then later on, you might agree with it because you learned something new and it makes sense finally and you see the perspective, right? Don't be afraid to admit you were wrong. Don't be afraid to start writing about the new perspective. Be a hypocrite. It's fine. Like, it's okay to change. Like, who I was 3 months ago is not who I am today. But, and I've had to go like full circle with a lot of my perspectives, and everything's changed now. Everything's different, right? So be open to change. Number 2, publish first, edit later. You don't want to get caught up in the trap of, editing as soon as you're done with stuff, because then you'll just keep editing and keep editing and keep editing. If you can get your process to where you start writing, you finish writing, and then you hit publish, and it's almost a perfect draft. And then you see a mistake like maybe like 5 minutes later after you reread it after it's published, and you edit that one mistake and you're done. Like, if you can get that, you'll get better at writing correctly on the first try. Like, this article that I wrote, I didn't edit it like at all. Most of this is like off the cuff. Like, I just like, and it took me like 45 minutes to an hour, maybe hour 15 for this one, just because I was like trying to put a little more oomph into it. I was feeling good today, so I had a little more energy. Like I said, it's my fiance's birthday, and I'm super excited to share with her what I have planned. So I'm not going to say it here because she's going to listen, but she's probably in the living room right now listening. Nosy. Anyway, number 3, we'll move on. Got a little distracted there, sorry. State everything is fact. So you're trying to build authority. You're trying to garner attention. Sitting on the fence, and I tweeted this earlier, but I'll say it because it was cool. Sitting on the fence is for spectators of the game. If you're running your business, you can't be a spectator, which means you can't have both opinions. You can't agree with both sides. You're building a brand. You're building something that people will look at and decide, do I like this person or do I not like this person? The funny part is, even if they don't like you, some people will still follow you because they just want to hate you, So like, being in the middle means that no one will like you because they won't really notice you. Everybody wants to be in the middle. Think about it. Successful people represent only 5% of the population in the world. Do you think that they are just sitting on the fence? Sitting on the fence is a 50-50 thing. Being one of one is 5% of everybody, even less than that. So, don't be afraid to be you. Don't be afraid to share what you actually think. And if you don't have actual opinions, do some self-discovery. This is also a self-discovery journey. You will learn and grow on the fly as you go through this process of building your business online. Be open to change is number 1. State everything is fact. Number 3. Cool. They all work together. Number 4, talk from experience or opinion. So this isn't so much about stating everything is fact. Yes, still state everything is fact. But when it comes to creating content, it's always easier to reflect on the past or talk about the current reality. It's hard to pull from thin air. So like, even the basis of this is about my plan. Like, yes, I'm selling it as a plan to you so that you can use it and you can benefit from it. But this is literally the plan that I have for myself. And I'm just sharing my reflection on the journey as I'm writing. and I'm giving you the lessons I learned. I'm giving you the experiences that I had. And it didn't feel like I was taking anything out of my brain. It was like me just telling the truth. Like it's so much easier to create from an already existing concept. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you take a regular, topic and apply your unique perspective, you have a gold mine of content for anything that you learn, anything that you've learned, and anything you want to do. So you can talk about the present, past, and future with that same perspective. And then 5, keep sentences as short as possible. I know I'm not doing a good job with that now, specifically on the podcast part. In the article, I do a pretty good job of like sentence variation and stuff, but that's over like time. I've learned to like add that into my process, because at the beginning, my sentences were super long. Then when I read that book, they got super short. Then my articles were super choppy. And so I had to like go back and learn how to diversify a little bit with the sentence structure to make it more engaging and interesting to read. I'm new to podcasting. So if you want a more polished version of this, I recommend you read it. It'll probably turn out way better for you. But if you're still here, thank you so much. 36 minutes in, we're still going. The best advice I can give you is this: get as many reps as you can. That is the best advice. If you don't listen to anything else, like get as many reps as you can, learn from each thing that you do, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, learn from it, and then change to optimize for the good and, deprioritize the bad. It took me about a month before I found my unique writing voice. My speaking voice I'm still working on, even though I've been working on it for years. I'm still along a self-discovery journey, trying to figure out who I want to be, who I actually am. After being, part of the conformity crowd for so long, I finally get to be me. And be patient. It's a forever phase. This phase is a continuous phase. So you will be here forever. So you're going to have to keep learning how to copyright, improving how to copyright. The creator economy is going to continue to boom. At least that's my opinion. So the better you are at copywriting, the more you'll stand out and the more valuable the skill will be. Right. And then moving on, phase 3, we're only halfway there. Sheesh. Community building. Prerequisite for community building is clarity of vision. You have to know what your vision is going to be before you can start building a community. So get that out of the way. Timeline, continuous. So you're going to always community build. You're always going to connect. You're always going to want to find people that are a part of your tribe. You're going to want to add them, catch them all like Ash Ketchum. Do whatever you have to do to build your community. Business as we know it is changing. It is no longer about the business. It is about the person running the business. The companies with real, genuine people backing them will have all of the market share. Even if you are just starting out, you can build a community. You don't have to be a perfect copywriter. You don't have to have a foundational business structure, although I do recommend that, so that the community you build understands what you do and they're not hoodwinked or bamboozled once you finally figure it out. I was lucky enough to prioritize putting myself first ahead of the business, so that when I did finally figure it out, I could port people from my past community into this current one, because I am who I am. So you could always build a personal brand first and then do the community building, but it might help you to be faster if you were to build your community after you've gotten some clarity about your vision. And if you've already established your business, that's fine too. You can start building your community and leverage your business experience and your past business results to do that. That's kind of what I'm doing. Only difference is I've already done a mixture of both. I've started over and I've had a business prior to this. So I'm kind of mixing the two, which is a little different. But it's working so far. I have built and participated in several communities myself, many out of love for my hobbies. They weren't really business oriented. It wasn't like money or income. It was literally just I like doing this, and I met people who also did. So basketball, video games, photography. When it came to basketball, joined an intramural league. When I moved to Denver, made a couple of, I'd say, acquaintances. Video games, I'd been playing video games my whole life. I haven't really played for the last 2 years. But, I built a community when I used to stream, built community of 25. And then when it came to playing, I had like a community of like 75 people I knew who also played the same games as me. I was making like legit friends. And to give you a little bit of insight into my first business, I started my first business and hired 6 people who I used to play video games with. It didn't turn out that good because I didn't know them as well as I thought I did. But that's how close like the communities are, just to give you like an insight into like how that can go. And then photography, I got into photography like last year. I wanted to get on Instagram. I wanted to sell art. This was like the first type of entrepreneurial thing I did, but I didn't really sell it that seriously. Like it was just kind of like oh, look, I built this community. Hey, buy my art. Like I wasn't marketing it as efficiently as I could have. If I knew the things I know now, I probably could have sold a lot. I can still go back and do it. Like people ask me all the time, like, hey, Boise, where are you coming back? Like I haven't posted a picture on there since New Year's. If you want to check it out, it's at Boise Vision. I did nature photography, traveled to Iceland, took a bunch of pictures there. When I moved to Colorado last year, or year before last, I took a bunch of pictures in the Rockies. We visited like 10 national parks or something, or 8 national parks. Took pictures at every single one. I don't think I got the last 3 national parks that we went to, but the first 5, I believe I have some pictures up there. It's pretty awesome stuff. Saw the Aurora Borealis. That was cool. But moving on, man, this is 41 minutes. I'm gonna have to split this up, man. Dang. It's fine. It's first episode for the people, who are tuning in from Spotify and Apple. But normally these are like 10 minutes. I did say that I wanted to do one long article / podcast per week. So I might just do that on Wednesdays and make it like a regular thing. Anyway, so even though I haven't entertained them as much, I still have the people in those communities awaiting my return. That's what communities do. They provide a safety net for your business. They provide a baseline for support. So customers come and go, but communities last a really long time. Like I said, I'm still friends with a lot of the people who I played video games with back in like 2015. And then photography, I have people hitting me up on my IG asking me about when I'm returning. The best advice I can give you for community building is to be authentic with your content and engage with content that resonates with you. Be a beacon for like-minded people. If you can do that, you should have no problem building a community. There are processes that you can do, that are more like systematic, but that just being a beacon for like-minded people is probably going to be like the most universally applicable thing you can do. And as far as phase 4, obtain social proof. This one's pretty easy. Prerequisites: 1 happy client. Timeline is 1 to 2 months. All you need is 1 happy client for this phase. Once you get that, you just leverage their success story in your content. There are plenty of strategies to turn 1 client into 5 clients. One is simply testimonial and content marketing. So once you get that first happy client, you just content market it and put that on repeat, turn it into a case study. Like there's a bunch of different methods you can do to do it, but 1 client can turn into 5 really easily if you have the right system in place. Those tend to require established community to pump out your message if you are going to do those methods, which is why having a community is so important so you can pump it out as fast as possible. I'll be completely honest with you. My business consulting can get you through the first 5 phases in under 3 months. And that's kind of like, what I did. When I first started creating on Medium, it only took me 3 months to close my first client. Yeah, like I closed my first client February. And I didn't take it seriously until Christmas. So yeah, like 3 months. The main reason I didn't talk about it or attempt to scale that is because it was for the wrong offer of what I actually wanted to do. I was selling like writing coaching or something. Like, I don't know how I got that far. I think at that point I was just like frustrated that I wasn't getting anything, but I learned how to create an offer and I learned how to sell it. And, it's just that simple. And now I've modified my offer to be more fulfilling to me and more valuable to my audience. I can just repeat that process, which is why I'm doing this. This is literally like the same process. I make newsletters. I was making content on Medium regularly. I was constantly in communication with people, seeing if they wanted to try something out. I did a discovery call with people and told them exactly, what they probably need to fix in their process to help them get their businesses off the ground. And then I would, offer to help them do that if they wanted to. But that process of discovery of getting my first client gave me feedback on what works. So I know what I'm doing now. So I'm pretty confident that I'll recuperate all of that lost time in no time. And plus I had to have a content marketing coach to help me transition my medium skill set into X, which makes it a lot easier. And then phase 4, scale your offer, the danger zone. This is dangerous, but it is a step that all of us must take if we hope to have anything meaningful with our businesses. Phase 5. Prerequisite is a scalable business foundation. The timeline is 3 months to continuous, so you can scale as much as you want if you want that. This is actually the easy part, but it has its dangers. So you have clients, you have social proof, you have community, right? Scaling is about leveraging the best parts of your process, those 3 parts, right? While increasing the quality of the worst parts of your process. So what are you not bad at? And then scale once you have everything equalized. Again, there are plenty of methods to get this done, but the easiest one is to increase traffic to your offer. So getting more people to view your stuff is likely to land you more business. And then once again, we already know how to turn 1 client into 5. So once you scale your customers, you can turn those 5 customers that you might land from your increase in traffic into 25 accounts or 25 customers, right? That's scale. Like, you know what I mean? Now that's exactly why it's a dangerous game. Can you handle 25 clients right now? Like right now, if you look at your business, could you handle 25 clients? Most of us cannot. I know I couldn't, right? That's why the prerequisite is a scalable business foundation, so that you can actually facilitate what you need to facilitate for the people. A lot of us are going to be unscalable in the beginning because that's how we stand out, is to offer something that is unscalable. Then once you get closer to, a more sustained level of success, then you scale, but you have to find a process or a methodology that makes it scalable for you to be able to handle 25 clients. And that's exactly why I don't recommend doing this part alone. Honestly, especially if you're new, but even if you have business experience, it's not wise to do it alone. I scaled my first company from $0 to $1.4 million in 8 months, and it ripped us apart. Like, our processes were everywhere. We lost millions in possible revenue, not actual revenue. I think revenue, we only lost about, in literal terms, we only lost about $250,000, so like 250,000 in revenue in that period from the scale. But in terms of possible revenue, like what it could have been, it shot all of our momentum. We went from 0 to 1.4 million in 8 months, and it killed our momentum because we were supposed to, have the exponential curve. It was supposed to be 5 million over the next. We were supposed to make 5 million in the year, according to the trajectory that we were on. But we ended up only scaling from 1.4 to 2.5 million. Now, we almost doubled it over the next 4 months. So we ended the first full year, our first fiscal year, with 2.5 million. But it could have been more. And to do it that second time, because we ended up scaling twice, we scaled to 1.4 million, fell on our face. Then we scaled to 2.5 million. And that was a lot more sustainable of a process that we used because we learned from our first mistakes. But the second scale still left holes in our business, holes that even I couldn't see until I finally dissolved my business in 2023. Whether you choose to work with me or not to help you scale your stuff, please work with someone. Like, there's no reason to put your business in jeopardy because you don't want to, let someone else help you. You worked hard to get it to this point. It's at a point where it could take off like a rocket or explode like a rocket. You want to make sure that you have a pilot and a ground crew that's going to make sure everything is in check before you start this process. All right. It is almost impossible to see a bird's eye view of the battlefield when you are in the war. It's almost impossible. So, don't think that because you have to get help, it means that you are incompetent. Even billionaire CEOs that we all praise and love, by the way, had a second opinion in the beginning, in the middle, even in the end. Right? Steve Jobs and Elon Musk had the same mentor, Larry Ellison, co-founder of Oracle. Right? Steve Jobs, his name's on here again. Jack Dorsey and Jeff Bezos, all three of them shared the same mentor, Bill Campbell, sorry. And he's known as the coach of Silicon Valley just because of how many people he's actually coached. I was going to put his full list on here, but it was just too long. And I could go on, it's only 2 examples, but I won't find anyone who didn't have a mentor, coach, or advisor. It'd be kind of redundant to continue. You can look it up if you don't believe me. And a fun fact, in most of the examples, I found that the student's net worth ends up higher than the advisor's. Jobs is actually an outlier. I think when he died, he only had like a $20 billion net worth. Larry Ellison had like $154 billion net worth now. But the reason he's an outlier is because he didn't care about building wealth. He's my type of guy. I like that guy. Steve Jobs was awesome. A little crazy, but all successful people are crazy. And per celebritynetworth.com, it's estimated that had Jobs not given away his investments, or had he actually held a majority of his investments in the beginning, his net worth today would be worth $0.6 trillion. So I can count that too. That's 600 billion. I'm gonna count that. The point is, everyone needs help, even the greats. Had I gotten help with my scaling, had I gotten help with any of this, I would have made it to phase 6 with no problem. What is phase 6? I'll tell you later. But I would have made it. I needed help, man. Looking back, I felt so stupid, not getting help. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm not calling anybody stupid. I'm just saying, for me, just knowing what it could have been, knowing how fast we could have gone, how far we could have gone. I didn't recognize a lot of the trouble signs earlier. And I'll talk about this a little later, but we had a lot of HR issues, just to put it in simple terms. A lot of personnel issues. It's a drama story. So y'all will probably like that later. Maybe I'll talk about it next. We'll see. Or maybe, I'll make that next week's long form. So I'll talk about it for a whole hour next week. I'll tell you the whole story, everything. So make sure you subscribe if you want to hear that one. Phase 5 or phase 6. What is phase 6? Phase 6 is freedom. Yep, that is it. That's the thing everybody wants. Well, most of us want. The prerequisite for phase 6 is removal from operation. No longer will the CEO or the person that founded it, or the people that founded it, whatever it's like right now, be in charge of the business anymore. They will make money from a business that they are not managing. Timeline is 1 to 2 years. Can actually be more. I should probably put 1 to 5 years. It can be more. It depends on how you want to do it, how big you want to go. When you want to actually remove yourself from the process. You do have to have a certain amount of revenue or profit coming in before you can actually do it effectively. So that's why you got to scale a couple of times before you get to that point, which is why the timeline is so long. And if your idea takes off like a rocket, you can probably get to this point in a year. But most of the time it's going to be way longer than that. So just to taper expectations, I don't want to make anybody think they have to, they're going to take off like a rocket in 6 months and scale their business to have freedom. No, if you want freedom, you're going to have to be a slave for a little bit. Just saying. Anyway, here's a quote. I like this one. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you just how deep the rabbit hole goes. You know who said that? If you know who said that, hit that subscribe button. You're my type of person. If you don't know, I feel bad for you. That's Matrix, man. That's Morpheus. That's Morpheus. That's the line. That's the one everybody talks about. So, the quote is a little dramatic, but the point still stands. Once you get to this point, once you get to phase 6, you have a choice of repeating phase 5 with your business as many times as you like to see how big it can get. That's the red pill. Or you can remove yourself from the focal point of the operation and have it run itself. The blue pill. The blue pill is where most people are trying to go. A self-sustaining business that runs itself. Sounds awesome. It's like retirement done right. Forget saving your money until you are about to die. Just build something that just gives you a paycheck forever, as long as it's alive. The way you do that is a minor tweak to phase 5. The only difference is that you have to hire and appoint a new executive to handle everything, or a business management company. Like, you have to get someone else that's going to take care of your business for you. Someone who will take care of your business as much as or care about your business, as much as you do. Then you just set up the infrastructure and backfill any holes to make the process easier for your new executive. So you find the person, then you go back with them and you walk through, your infrastructure and make sure like everything's set up for you to like finally be pulled out. It is a very emotional process. Not everybody can do it. Some people are super attached to their businesses. That's why it's kind of helpful to have someone that can walk you through the process who's not as emotionally connected to your business, but still cares, right? But yeah, that's it. That's all, folks. My new process, start to finish, phase 1 to phase 6. For anyone that's curious, I'm currently on phase 3, building my community. I'm focused primarily on growing my audience and attracting my ideal customer, entrepreneurs who are looking to scale their online businesses. And I hope this episode has actually been valuable to you, because that's what I'd hope for someone who I want to work with one day. Wink. Thanks for reading, listening, whichever one you chose. P.S. If you want to work with me to help scale your business online, email me at hello@boisegordon.com. Or if you're listening through Substack, you can reply to the email with the word scale, and I'll schedule a free strategy call with either of yous. If you're starting from scratch, we can scale your presence and then start with the other phases. And then if you're starting from experience, we can scale your profits and get you to phase 6 as soon as possible. If you tried to reply in the past, I do apologize. I didn't get the emails because it wasn't set up with my RSS feed, but it is good now. I've tested it already. So I'm sorry it was not set up. It should work. Cool. This has been a wonderful hour of talking. Thank you so much for staying this long. I feel bad. Well, I don't feel bad. I did a good job, right? Like, I feel like I gave like some good value in here. I pretty much put my brain on a page. Like I said, this is literally the process that I plan to use going forward. So if it's going to work for me, it can work for anybody. Just a matter of implementing it correctly. And if you need help with implementation, like I said, just let me know. We can talk about it and see where there's problems, or possible problems. Talk it over. It's always a good chat. But I am Boise. Thank you for listening or reading, and enjoy the rest of your day.